and welcome back to Area 51 and a half, where we talk about all things science fiction, fantasy, horror, and pop culture. I am your host, Spooky Uncle John. With me, as always, are my Millennial Falcons.
Snyderman 501, Nick Snyder.
And...
Wren, a.k.a. Peter Lee.
Our Techno Mage. Yay!
Yeah!
Nick, before we get started, remind our aliens how they can get a hold of us.
You can find us on social media. That is Threads, Instagram, and TikTok at the Area 51H. You can also find us on Facebook by searching for Area 51 and a half, as well as our YouTube channel by searching for the same. And make sure to check out our Patreon for all sorts of goodies, as well as exclusives.
This is a really sucky way to start the episode, but it has to be mentioned. In fact, it was just yesterday, being December 8th, that legendary actor, Oscar nominee Ryan O'Neal passed away. Ryan O'Neal was really famous in the 70s and 80s, particularly for the movie Love Story, where he got his Oscar nomination. It seems like every actor has that one big movie that they're known for. I mean, he had a pretty good career, too. He acted with his daughter, Tatum O'Neal, in Paper Moon, and starred in another movie called Barry Lyndon. I don't expect a lot of younger generations to necessarily know who Ryan O'Neal was, but he was a pretty big deal. He was like the Brad Pitt of his time.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that's kind of sad that we have to start that way. But having said that, no easy segue, of course, but it's time for Nick's Pop Culture Roundup.
This week on the Roundup, I need to mention it. So Rockstar Games are the king of milking it. Like
Even more than Disney?
Even more than Disney, more than Vince McMahon. These guys should be dairy farmers. They finally released a trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6. And oh my God, it looks amazing. It looks absolutely beautiful. Like,
Fans have been waiting for this trailer for about 10 years now.
Yeah. Okay, so Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013. It has been 10 years.
Yep.
We the time between Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5 was 3 years. 4 years, 4 years. This has been the longest wait for a Grand Theft Auto game ever.
Yeah.
And it looks beautiful. It takes place in the fictional state of Leonida, in the fictional city of Vice City, which is basically Miami, Florida. And oh my God, Florida man is alive and well in this game. Oh, some of the stuff they show. All I'm hoping is I get to ride a gator.
You know, I have to give them credit because, I mean, these games that they make, whether it's Grand Theft Auto, whether it's like a Batman game, whatever, they create such a rich world for you to play in, right? Oh I remember, Wren, you got to hear this. I remember being at Nick's place. Which Grand Theft Auto was it?
4. I know exactly the story you're going to talk about. Yeah, you do. 4.
I have never had so much joy in my life because it was the funniest thing that ever happened. I am not, listen, aliens, I'm not a gamer. Okay, even though I grew up I remember Pong, I was there for Atari, I had an Atari, that is the extent of my gaming. Nick was trying to get me to play this game, and I accidentally fired a rocket and blew my poor guy off of a building, and as he's falling, because we're laughing so hard, I hit the button again, and he blew himself up, even though he was dead, and we laughed, and I laughed so hard. I laughed the laugh of the just, I guess, I don't know, but Nick referred to it as this, I've never seen anybody have a joygasm before. I loved it. I was like hooked. I don't play these games for the missions. I play because it's an open world, and I just love to just ramp that car off anything I can.
I look at like even the older, like the Grand Theft Auto 3 games. One of my favorite things to do was they had car transport trucks, right? With the ramp down, and you could just drive up behind them and ramp right off of them.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
You know, and it's like Scarface is kind of like that.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right?
Scarface is kind of a clone of that game.
That is one of those video games where I sat there and went, okay, so I'm going to swim. Apparently you can't swim because it's just scared the crap out of me. First time I'm playing Scarface, and I'm getting pretty good at the game. And I go, I'm going to swim. No. I was like, what's happening? What's going on? And then the shark comes up and eats me. And I'm just like, what the heck? But what I loved about Scarface is I figured out that you could actually do the drug deal and then shoot the drug dealer and take the drugs back.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
So going back to Grand Theft Auto 6 for a second. One, the graphics look beautiful. But the other thing, looking at Grand Theft Auto 5, the game looked beautiful, but the population was sparse, especially for San Andreas, which is a fill-in for Los Angeles.
Yeah.
This game, Grand Theft Auto 6, does not look sparse. Like, the beaches are full of people, exactly what you expect. And somebody online said, listen, just imagine this beach, Lamborghini, 100 miles per hour. And I'm just sitting there like...
Well, what I don't like about gaming, I'll be honest, I'm not a gamer, but sometimes there's, like, if I can defeat a game on my own, I'm impressed. But usually I have to call Nick and say, can you get me past this level? I don't mind a challenge, but some of them are really like, you have to be an expert gamer to do it. And and it's like, listen, guys, just make something fun that an old fart like me can play.
See, like, and here's my thing is, as an adult with a full-time job, with a kid, with this podcast, with other hobbies, my time for gaming has kind of gone down.
Yeah.
So I find myself, because I game for the story. I want to get through the story. I want to involve myself in the story. So I find myself more and more, and I have no shame in it, playing on easy mode. Because I want to experience the story more than anything.
But even some of them on easy mode are hard. Like I just said, I want to have fun. I want to de-stress. I don't want to be stressed out by a game, which is why I don't play a lot of them. Yeah. I haven't progressed past a PS3 to my shame, sorry. But that's why I liked Sims. And then until I realized it's like, okay, I'm playing Sims, and unless you can do something wild, like get kidnapped by an alien or see a ghost or whatever, I sit there and go, okay, so this whole game is hinging on me getting up, having a shower, taking out the trash, going to work, trying to find love, and control all those other Sims when you have a baby and all that kind of stuff. So basically, you want me to relax from my real life by pretending I'm doing real life crap again.
This one here...
He's pointing to me, by the way.
Plays Power Washer Simulator. It is a simulator where you clean things. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm just playing my monkey game, Balloons, where the monkeys are popping the balloons. This one's working to de-stress. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's why I think my favorite Sims game was actually Castaway, because you're on an island and you're stuck there on the island. So it's not your typical Sims game.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember that one.
Oh, it came and went. I don't know why. It probably wasn't that popular for whatever reason, but I loved it because it's like, yes, I am the monkey overlord. Train them all and do your bidding. And the monkeys would go and bring you coconuts and bananas and things. It was pretty cool.
On the other side of the gaming world, to really get your heart pumping and stressed out, Jurassic Park Survival has been released. A trailer has been released for Jurassic Park Survival. So for that, you are the final person on the original Jurassic Park island, and you have to get off of the island.
It takes place just after the first movie. And the idea, I mean, you watched me playing Alien Isolation. I screamed like a little girl when I played that.
Listen, I have watched you get so frustrated with gaming when you were younger that you, I kept wondering why Nick kept going through controllers. Every week he'd have a new controller because he'd slam them into the ground out of frustration.
But this game, oh my God.
According to this article, it's set one day after the events of the original Jurassic Park. The game is due to tell an original story about an InGen scientist who is unable to evacuate the doomed Isle Nublar?
Isle Nublar, yeah.
Yeah. In the first-person game, your task was surviving against the odds as this Dr. Maya Joshi, who failed to flee the island. And there's dinosaurs everywhere and no power, and it looks amazing. And from what I've seen, fans are living for it.
Yeah, I've been wanting a Jurassic Park survival game forever. Like a survival horror game that takes place in Jurassic Park. I am there.
Okay, so we're going to start a drinking game. Every time Nick says horror and it sounds like horror, you take a drink.
I'm down for that.
Yes!
Sure, hit it.
Enunciation is everything in podcasting.
But, so those are two big releases. I'm excited to get both of them, and I'm sure I'm going to stream them. They're all available for PC, PS5, Xbox S, whatever the newest
Series
one.
X, Series X.
That's the newest one. So anyway, look for streams when they come out. Probably, they're betting the Jurassic Park for late 2024 and Grand Theft Auto for
2025.
So we need to wait like 11 years for this game. But it better be worth it.
It better be 2025. If this goes to 2026, Rockstar, we're coming for you.
See, that's really interesting. You know, I was just sitting there thinking the difference between generations here is the fact that you guys are not used to waiting for anything.
You know? I have been waiting 10 years. Leave me alone.
We did our waiting, 10 years of it, in our bedrooms.
I've been waiting since 1993 for Jurassic Park Survival, so leave me alone.
Listen, I've been waiting for a lot of stuff that doesn't materialize, like good movies. But anyway, let's move on. What's next?
What's next is the Time Person of the Year was announced.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is the Person of the Year.
Yes. Yep. So I was at work the other day and that was mentioned and a bunch of people started rolling their eyes. But if you think about it, Taylor Swift has been around since 2004-ish.
Yes, about a decade or more.
Yeah, has never really left the media, even if it was like, oh, great, she broke up with another person. Here's an album coming out. But she's done so much stuff. Like, I was just reading through the article. Her total cost of, like, this empire that she has is estimated to be, like, $1 billion.
Right.
She's had many economy booms at hotels and restaurants where her shows have been.
Yeah.
There's been countries that have been begging her to come perform so they can get that boom. Friendship bracelets, the use of them have increased. So there's actually a 500% increase in some craft store sales. Right. Like she's done something that a lot of people have not been able to do.
Yeah. And I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding, I think, about what would make Time choose their Person of the Year, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen people like Vladimir Zelensky be the Person of the Year. Mm-hmm. We've seen people like who have accomplished these amazing kind of medical transformations. We've seen scientists. We've seen all that kind of stuff, right? So, but what I don't think people understand is that Time isn't really looking necessarily for like the next Nobel Prize winner to be the Person of the Year. It's who made the headlines, who was most talked about, who was most influential this year. And honestly, in 2023, I can see that it was Swiftie.
Well, let's look at it, because this is the year that Taylor Swift went from being, a musical artist to being a legit special attraction. And that happens to very few artists.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to tie her in for the rest of the year, apparently she helped inspire the director of the Barbie movie. Like,
makes sense.
She took a lot of stuff from her. With the whole Ticketmaster crash and scalper incident, the Justice Department started to investigate. The Senate held a hearing on it. So and also with the whole political front, she said one day, go sign up to vote in the States. And they had record number of registrations. Yeah. Like, the website almost broke from how many registrations they had from new people signing up to vote.
Yeah. And not only that, but I think she's like one of a handful of women that have actually been named Person of the Year.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, it's long overdue. But I mean, Time, I was trying to explain it to my mother. I said, Time is in the business of selling magazines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we know that probably Gen X is probably one of the last generations, maybe the Xennials, that really gets into print media, right?
Yep.
That really, so I mean, their whole goal is not necessarily choosing, as I said earlier, like an influential Nobel Peace Prize winning person. They're in the business of selling magazines. You put Taylor Swift on that cover as the person of the year, I guarantee you that Time magazine is going to sell out.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
So they're going to make a fortune off of that.
Yeah.
And what do you always say, Nick? Follow the money.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And
follow the money.
It's just, so many people roll their eyes because they remember, Taylor Swift, I knew you were trouble when you walked in and, you belong with me. But it's like...
They're catchy songs.
Yeah, her latest album has been amazing. And it's so empowering. And also her quote, when she found out that she was on the Time magazine, she put this on one of her social medias. She found out that she was on Time magazine. Her first question was, "Can I bring my cat?" So her top picture is her with her cat curled around her shoulders. And that's, if that's not described, like that describes Taylor Swift to a T.
Yeah.
You look, and like I said before, she's become a special attraction. She is on the same level now as Beyonce. She is on the same level that Rod Stewart was on with my parents. Like these are the type of concerts that you don't go just for the music. You go there to say you've been there, to experience it, and of course for the music.
She is in company with Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, and Madonna.
Yeah.
And has been compared to Bobby Dylan, Paul McCartney, and Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
And in fact, she actually has a signed picture from Paul McCartney that says, "Take these broken wings and learn to fly."
Yeah.
And that's what she's rolled with for her entire career.
Yeah, she's going to be remembered for sure.
Absolutely.
So
I just hope this isn't necessarily her peak, and then...
I don't think it's going to be. I think that she's going to be the big performer for this generation.
Yeah, but let's be honest too. When she first came out, she was doing country, and then she did crossover into pop, right?
Yeah.
She could have very easily been a one and done. She could have just, but she transformed herself. She became very popular, in not just with the people of the era, but also with other celebrities, right? So but she's very famous for her friendships with people like Kelly Pickler and
Blake Lively.
Yeah.
when she started dating one of the Kansas City Chief players, their viewerships went up. So somehow Taylor Swift made football the most popular sports in the States, even more popular.
Because I don't come for me, I'm not being sexist. This is just seems to be the way it is. Mm-hmm. Female fans are rabid. When they love something, they love it.
No, that's exactly it.
And they love their Swiftie.
Yeah,
I love Swiftie. I don't go out and buy the albums anymore, but I have her first album. I have her Christmas album. It's a great album.
Yeah, but she still has reputation to come back out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she's one of the people, there's been other artists that once they got rights to their music again, they re-release stuff. So, I mean, Kesha's done it. Britney Spears is going through all this stuff. She may not re-release things, but they're all showing how troublesome the record company is.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of music, speaking of re-releasing things, speaking of somebody who's been in the industry a long time, who hasn't really ever gone away because of a certain hit, a Christmas hit, Brenda Lee.
Congratulations.
Number one. Knocking out Mariah Carey.
Took out the Queen. The Christmas Queen.
I didn't know who was going to do it or why it happened or how it happened, other than it's like something like the 60th anniversary of the song.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, I think because it was featured in a movie. It was featured in a lot of movies.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it came back into the cultural zeitgeist. Knocked out Mariah Carey, and wow, if you think about it, Brenda Lee has his number one song, Dolly Parton has a number one album, Cher's got a number one hit too, and they're all in their 70s.
I know, but when I heard about Brenda Lee, I was like, congratulations. Like, I don't know what happened and why it brought, but like, damn, you're never too old to get like a top 1 hit, right? Like,
listen, Dolly Parton appeared. Like, there was a lot of controversy here. Dolly Parton appeared in that cheerleader outfit, right, at the football game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, like, there were people who were critics. I'm going to go on the record here right now. First of all, damn, she looked good. So anybody that is coming for her, I'm going to give you a double kick in the jingle bells. Because, like, give me a break. Like, she is fabulous. You do not come for Dolly Parton.
No.
You do not come for Cher. You know, do not come for any of these women. Do not shame them. They are the people that paved the way for people like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and they are still giving it their all. They're still out there leaving it all on the stage. It's just a fabulous time for somebody like me to be alive, to see all the stuff that I grew up with as a kid still be relevant, and to have younger generations know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
One of my favorite things about this is before we go into it, I'm not really a Mariah Carey fan. But she was still wonderful and gracious enough to send Brenda Lee flowers.
Yeah.
And I think that's really sweet.
You're not a lamb?
Is that what they call our fans?
I think so, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I grew up in the time of Mariah Carey, and I
grew up in the time of Mariah Carey, back when we had to walk to school in the olden days, uphill both ways in blizzard snowstorms, with only a torch to light our way.
Back in 1992, no, I was in high school when Mariah Carey was big, and
she's still big.
Her Christmas, she isn't releasing albums anymore.
She doesn't need to. She just goes out and does a Christmas tour.
They unthaw her in the end of November, and she makes her money.
At the end of November, my goodness, no. Halloween dies.
And Mariah Carey rises.
Mariah Carey rises. It's like the phoenix every year.
But
I grew up in the age of Mariah Carey. It was a dark time.
It was a dark time. The only reprieve was The Offspring.
Oh, we have lost it here.
I do like pop music, but she's just never been one I like. That's
okay. You know, like you can't be a fan of everybody. I mean, honestly, outside of All I Want for Christmas Is You, I couldn't name you a Mariah Carey song if I tried. I do know that she does do that that high pitch song that makes dogs howl.
Oh, yes.
And congratulations for her on that. I think now they call it like a tea kettle note.
The whistle tone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's the first one I remember doing it. But my goodness me. But that brings us to our main topic of the day. Yes, it is the holiday season. Around here, we just love it, from like Halloween all the way up to New Year's, or as you like to call it in Scotland,
Hogmanay.
Yes. Yeah, you'll have to explain that to us a little bit later on. But we are talking about Christmas specials, but specifically the Rankin Bass ones.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know who Rankin Bass is, maybe you're not paying attention. They are the animators. They started in 1960.
Yeah.
And they have a plethora, just a huge library of animation. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it's gone away, some of it has been resilient. These are the guys behind the big kahuna of Christmas specials, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
So they did stop motion and animation?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then they also did a few live action films as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Every holiday, no matter what it was, be it Thanksgiving, be it Halloween, be it Christmas, be it Easter, I'm not even sure, maybe even Valentine's Day, not quite sure, but any holiday, there was a Rankin Bass special.
Because I know we did, when I was younger, it was Rudolph, and with the ice pick and the Yeti and that guy and everything.
Yeah.
And then we had...
The ice pick and the Yeti.
I meant the ice...
Yukon Cornelius.
There you go.
And Bumble.
Yeah. So we had that one.
You're as bad as Nick. Back in the days of Mariah Carey.
Did they do the animated Frosty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because I thought that was like a different. Okay, you know what? I'm discovering so much today. But yeah, so we had those two, and we watched those in school because that was what the teachers put on when they didn't want to.
Yeah, but I'll tell you. Let's start here. I think what was brilliant about these Rankin Bass specials was the fact that they got big stars to be the narrators, to be the voices, right? Like Mickey Rooney was one of the ones that was used over and over again because he was like the ultimate Santa Claus. You know, so you see him in like a couple of them voicing Santa. But I mean, like, I could go down a list of huge stars, which maybe generations today wouldn't recognize. So let's put it this way. If Rankin Bass were to put out a new special today, since we were just talking about her, they would have Taylor Swift narrate it. They would have
Benedict Cumberbatch.
I was just thinking that. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, you know, like they would have these big stars. So, I mean, like, there's Angela Lansbury, there's Greer Garson, there's Walter Matthau, Mickey Rooney I mentioned, Shirley Booth, just like huge stars.
Art Carney before we started.
Yeah, Art Carney did one. Like, just huge names of the time. Jimmy Durante, Fred Astaire, like everybody you could imagine, right?
Yep.
And then on top of that, they attracted some of the best voice actors like Paul Frees. Paul Frees is like everything. Paul Frees does the voice in the Haunted Mansion at Disney.
Oh, really?
This is how great of like he's like just one of the big kahunas of voice acting, right? So they attracted all of this, which made it wonderful. But the other thing too is that you could only watch it on television. So it became an event, right? I think that there is something kind of lost now. I was thinking about this before we came into the booth, where if you had to wait, and it was only going to be on like Friday night. It was usually like a Friday or Saturday night. Sometimes it was through the week. But I'm just thinking back when I was a child. If you missed it,
you missed it.
You missed it, right? So it became this big event for your family to sit down and say, okay, no. Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is going to be on tonight. So, you know, my mother, when we were very small, took us to my great aunt Elsie's to see Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because we didn't have a color TV and she did.
Oh.
So my mother took us over there. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you know, about, I was joking earlier about not having patience to wait for things. It's like, we had to make sure we were there. Heaven help you if the cable went out.
Oh, God.
Heaven help you if the president of the United States of America
had
an address. Because you're just like, what's on? Nothing else is on. Oh my God. You know, so it was this experience that I think is lost now because you can watch it whenever you want, right? And maybe some people will disagree with me and say, well, that just makes it better for my family because now we can schedule it. But it's one of those things where the excitement isn't there because it's like, well, if we can't do it this night, we'll do it this night. We can't do it, we'll do it there. No, like if you are going to miss something because of something else, like no wonder I have so much anxiety. Like seriously. But I mean, like to have these are the things that ushered in Christmas. One of my favorites, The Year Without a Santa Claus. That's where you get the Miser Brothers. That wonderful musical song. There was always these great songs in them. You know? Like,
I know the Snow Miser song and the Heat Miser.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've never seen the movie, but I know it.
My cousin David and his wife went out for Halloween as the Snow Miser and the Heat Miser.
Oh, cool.
And they looked amazing.
It's like, that's even big on TikTok around the holiday season. People do makeup looks where one half is a Snow Miser and one half is the Heat Miser. And like, so that song is still running free on the internet.
Bar none, it's like some of the most fabulous work I've ever seen. I'm not even sure why, like, my cousin's wife is not like working professionally. Right here in St. Thomas, of all things. But it's just, I mean, everybody knows that opening refrain of dun, 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 and out comes Chili Willy there, and out comes Heat Miser, and it's like, and Dick Shawn, he just passed away maybe about 8 or so years ago. But I mean, he reprised his role when they did the Miser Brothers, which was terrible. Miser Brothers Christmas was just terrible. You can give that a skip. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I always wanted to see that one as a live action, and they did, and it sucked.
So, one of my favorite things is watching Batman and Robin and seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger bop along.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, that was hilarious. So, for me as a kid, we didn't have these specials in Scotland. I didn't see them until I came to Canada. Mm-hmm. And every Christmas, it was YTV. They had them all on, and they would have marathons of them. Mm-hmm. And I would just eat that up.
Oh, yeah. Now, Nick, you've got the history of Rankin Bass up there, and some of the things that some of our aliens might not know. I mean, it wasn't just these holiday specials. There was a lot of other stuff that they did.
Yeah, they had a whole slew of original animated films and television shows as well. Some well-known, some not. But some of them you will definitely recognize. Example, Willie McBean and His Magic Machine. The King Kong Show.
I remember that one. I at first I didn't, but then when I saw the logo, I was like, no, I remember watching that.
They did The King and I, which was actually back in 1999, an animated version of The King and I. Silverhawks, The Last Unicorn.
That is a fantastic fantasy movie.
I grew up with that one.
And again, Angela Lansbury, Alan Arkin, Tammy Grimes. These are all big stars that lend their voice. Renee Auberjonois. And then the music by the band America.
Yeah. They also did The Hobbit and Return of the King animated movies.
I grew up on The Hobbit too. But that was,
Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Yep.
And I would argue this as their most well-known property that isn't a Christmas property, the Thundercats.
Yeah.
Like... There you go. The guys that did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Thundercats. Thundercats! Thundercats! Ho!
Wait, what did he call me?
Exactly.
But it's not just that, but they also had like a presence overseas in Japan.
Well, it wasn't quite like that. They did co-productions with Japan. So basically they had Japanese studios.
Yeah, and these are live action.
These are live action. Some of them went to theater, distributed by Universal. Some of them went to TV, distributed by ABC. But you've got movies like King Kong Escapes, The Last Dinosaur, The Ivory Ape, and The Bushido Blade.
You just wanted to say Bushido Blade.
You have no idea. The Bushido Blade.
Bushido Blade.
Bushido.
Yeah, I think, they're really well known for their Christmas specials, particularly. Yeah. But my favorite one actually isn't even a Christmas special. My favorite one is one of their Easter specials. Here Comes Peter Cottontail.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is because it has, to me, one of the best villains in any of them, which is Irontail, voiced by the one and only Vincent Price. I just love... I loved Irontail so much that one Halloween I dressed up as Irontail. And it was hilarious because I was giving out, I had these rotten eggs in a basket, and everybody was killing themselves laughing. They recognized exactly who I was. They knew exactly what I was doing, and I was giving out, Easter eggs. And, this one lady, she goes, I think you got your holidays a little mixed up. It's like, have you seen the special? Have you seen it? Because that's exactly it. That's exactly what happens. But let's talk about the villains of these shows for a minute. The Burgermeister, what a dink he is, And it's just, it's amazing that these villains rival some of the big villains of the day, like Darth Vader in a way, right? You've got the Burgermeister. Bumble is technically a villain, but he changes his ways, right? You've got Jack Frost, who again starts off as a villain, but becomes... kind of a hero, but there's a winter wizard in Rudolph's Shiny New Year, right? And he's got this dragon, and it's just you get these sort of this iconography. Technically, the Snow Miser and the Heat Miser are kind of villainish, you know, and it cracks me up because I've never seen a representation of my brother and I so much as I do in the Heat Miser and the Snow Miser and Mother Nature. Because if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, no, if you haven't seen it, what happens is that Mrs. Claus is trying to cheer up Santa and all this kind of stuff. And so she goes to see the Snow Miser and goes to see the Heat Miser. She's trying to get this deal where they're going to let it snow in Southtown, USA, way down south where it doesn't snow. And in exchange, the Heat Miser wants like one sunny day at the North Pole, which, I mean, like today would just like be a catastrophic environmental disaster. So let's not do that. And of course, they can't come to any kind of compromise. So she says, that's it, I'm going over your heads. Goes to Mother Nature. And Mother Nature's like, boys. And, you know, it's like the Heat Miser and Snow Miser are always squabbling. My brother, when he was thinner, kind of resembled the Snow Miser, and I kind of resembled the Heat Miser. My sister-in-law pointed that out. And I said that would be hilarious if we were all together for Halloween and we went as like the Snow Miser, Heat Miser, and Mother Nature, right? But the way that Mother Nature handles it, right? And the Miser brothers go, yes, Mother dear. It's just, I've never seen a better representation of my own family dynamic than that. What's your favorite, Wren? Like
my favorite?
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, I'm just honestly of the Christmas ones or all of them in general.
Christmas and all of them.
All of them would be The Hobbit.
Right.
Christmas would probably be Rudolph.
Right. What about you, Nick?
All of them. The Last Unicorn. Last Unicorn is a gorgeous movie.
One of my favorite movies.
The Red Bull always scared me.
It scared the crap out of me. It's one of those films where I sit there and go like, I want to see a live action remake, but at the same time, I don't.
No, I don't. I do not want to see a live I think that would ruin it because it is so magical.
Yeah,
it's kind of like The Secret of Nim. Like these, we talked about fantasy movies earlier in the year, and these are like that is one of the ultimate fantasy movies. Like, don't mess with it.
It's one of those movies where I sit there and go, if they got a truly special, in order for it to succeed, it would have to be like capturing lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
because it would have to be a really special director, a really special set of writers, and a really special cast to make that work.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like when you look back at, I mentioned the live action version of The Year Without a Santa Claus. Now let's just look at the cast. John Goodman as Santa, can't go wrong there, right? Delta Burke as Mrs. Claus. You had Michael McKean as the Snow Miser and Harvey Fierstein as the Heat Miser. What could go wrong? I don't know, but it went terribly, terribly wrong.
For the Christmas specials, though, my favorite was always Santa Claus Is Coming to Town.
Oh, that's a cute one, yeah.
I honestly think that's the reason is because I think that's the first one I actually saw when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because I was old enough to see these and go, oh, I know when I saw them.
I love the line the Winter Warlock has where they're escaping from the prison and they're explaining how the reindeer fly with the magic feet and all that. This line just cracked me up. I remember my brother and I were just rolling off the couch laughing, right? Where it's like, he says, I'm not such a loser after all.
How about you, John?
I already mentioned my ultimate favorite in terms of their animation specials. Yeah. Which is Here Comes Peter Cottontail, because I love Vincent Price. Go figure. As far as the Christmas ones go, as far as Christmas ones go, it's A Year Without a Santa Claus. I just love the Miser Brothers. I love the mayor's song about it's going to snow right here in Dixie, and I think the music's great. Let's talk a little bit about it. Sorry, guys. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Kind of surprised it's still on television because it's
problematic.
In 2023, yes. And yet, this is what cracks me up about people. Don't come for me. It's an opinion show. It's funny to me how people kind of cherry pick what they're going to be outraged about. Yeah. Because everybody loves the hell out of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, even though it's like bullying and sexism and all kinds of like terrible things that go on there. Santa's the biggest dink in the world in that movie.
You're only useful if, they only want you around if you're useful. It's the...
Imagine. Let's take that Santa scene. He comes in, it's like, oh, Donner, look at that. You've sired a man-child. How wonderful. I can't wait till he can lead our team. Whoa! What's with that red nose? Yep. What a shame. Hide that mutant. Oh, my God. We don't want him around. And he says, like, that's a shame. And then he, like... And, they all say like, "Oh, Santa Claus, we made him unhappy." Yeah.
Stop for just a second. Your voice that you do sounds exactly like the elves from those shows. Oh my God!
I've been acting a long time, Nick.
Yeah.
Quick funny story about that. When I was doing my law course, Mrs. Slemons, she was a fantastic teacher. She crammed so much into each lesson. She gives us her test, and it's around Christmas time, and she has this the question. I still remember the question. It was about Hermie the elf gets a shipment of inflatable Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers. Doesn't open the box, right? Months later, whatever, he opens the box and discovers that the nose is green, not red. We had to basically answer the question. So the whole thing is that there is this thing in law, I don't know if laws have changed, but there's this thing in law where because he waited so long, it's, it's like, well, you can't return it because you sort of entered it. Anyway, I answered the question right. But at the end of it, I said, besides that, Hermie doesn't like to make toys. He wants to be a dentist. And when I got my exam back, there was this little smiley face that said tee-hee. One of my favorite teachers, although, like, I tell you, I wanted to hire her just to read to me every night because she had this sing-songy voice that was just was very perfect and was just, lovely lady. Don't get me wrong, really enjoyed her. But she put me to sleep so many times in class. I'm just going to hire her to help me go to sleep at night. It's just these sort of, again, problematic now, right? Because it's like, I love it that one line. It's like, no, this is man's work.
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing is like, when I was a kid, it was cute because I wasn't getting all the things that were being said. But now I look back at it. 1, it was sexist. 2, it was ableist. 3, it was a little bit racist. And
it wasn't a little bit racist. It's straight up racist. It's an allegory for racism.
And the other thing is, it's the same message as Thomas the Tank Engine. You're only of use to people if you're useful. Your only value to society is if you're useful.
Look at the Islands of Misfit Toys. And I'm seeing these wonderful memes, too, where there's one where it's like, there's nothing wrong with a squirt gun. Just quit filling them with jam.
Yeah, right?
And I'm sitting there thinking, a squirt gun with jam in it? Like, bring it. Like, whatever. The only thing I can't figure out is like, okay, so it's like, it's like, who wants to play with a Charlie in the box? It's like, dude, people are changing their genders. Go change your name. Like, what? If you don't want to be known as Charlie, fine. Just register as Jack. It'll be fine. And I still can't figure out what the doll's problem is. Like, is she like...
Oh, yeah.
Is she like manic depressive or something? Like, is she bipolar? Like, the only thing I can think of is like she's got like mental problems.
The thing is that they made those toys like that. So, like...
Somebody was drunk on the assembly line. Like, I'm a choo-choo train with square wheels. And, King Moonrazer is a lion with wings and whatever. It's like, well,
that was cool.
It is kind of cool, but you kind of sit there and you go, that's a lion with wings in the North Pole.
Homie's a manticore.
Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, I think the best character out of all of that is Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah.
Like that guy came to play. Like he's got like the pistol there, and he's got like a knife, and he's got like all this stuff. Like he came to play, and it's again one of the funniest lines ever, where it's like this the fog is as thick as peanut butter or something like that. And Hermes says, "You mean pea soup?" It's like, "You eat what you like, and I'll eat what I like." Land ho! No kidding.
One thing I want to talk about that's not related but still related at the same time is the influence that they clearly had on Elf with Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah.
Like that is like even Mr. Narwhal.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Well, that's exactly what they did. That's what Favreau did. He made this stop motion animation kind of area in there because like. The snowman from that is obviously a spoof of Burl Ives as the narrator.
Yeah.
Sam, a snowman named Sam.
Oh, why not?
But you know what? I think that, again, is kind of like the richness of it, right?
Yeah.
And I think we can overthink things a little too much.
Well, yeah. But even like, I play Star Trek Online, as you know.
Yeah.
Every Christmas they do Q's Winter Wonderland. And even that takes cues from the Rankin Bass, like the way the voice actors voice the gingerbread people, the way the gingerbread village looks, it all looks like Rankin Bass.
They had a huge influence because Rankin Bass, of course, influenced Tim Burton, and that's how we get The Nightmare Before Christmas. That's how we get Corpse Bride, the full-length Frankenweenie, all that wonderful, rich stop-motion animation, which takes forever to do, but looks so beautiful. They found, not that long ago, somebody found, it was stuck in their attic of all places, a Santa and a Rudolph puppet from that in mint condition.
Ooh.
Wow.
Because those things, they're not around because they degraded.
Yeah.
You know, and like Homie's just like cleaning out his grandparents' whatever. And I think that one of the grandparents, probably the grandfather, given it was the 60s, if I'm remembering the article correct, I may not be, but was an animator on it, right? So had these things and just stuck them in a trunk, and because they were stuck in the trunk, they were preserved.
Yeah. That, I just think about I've seen auctions go. Like, for example, I've seen the headpieces from the live-action Ninja Turtle movies go.
Yeah.
And they go for thousands upon thousands. And these things have deteriorated. They look like nightmare fuel. Well, but people will pay out the nose for.
That was one of the things, because like when they discovered these, first of all, historians went wild. Dealers went wild. Because here was the problem with it, though. They couldn't put a value on it because there was nothing to compare it to.
Yeah. So
it's like you have this completely priceless thing, which is like, is it worth $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $1 billion, a quadrazillion? Who knows? Right?
My rule of thumb with collecting, as I am a collector, is an item is only worth what people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing is like, okay, this item, all right, it's been priced, like the expert has priced at $3,000, but could I sell it for $1 million? Right. Like, here's the thing. You see these people online, and I hate these people, but they have the old Disney VHSs priced at $9 million, like $900,000 and stuff like that. And it's like, well, they're doing that to see if they can get someone to buy. But the problem is people who don't know any better go online and go, well, I can sell my VHS for that much. It's like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, if they had that, there's probably someone with the money out there that wants that piece that would pay $10 million for it.
Well, you know, and it's nice to get the physical copies too, because I've watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer since I was 3 years old. And then, you know, somewhere in the 90s, I figure I got the VHS copy of it, right? So I could watch it whenever I wanted. And I'm watching it, and then there's like deleted scenes, and there was like a restoration, and the colors were all completely different, and there was a different song, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, how many people actually know that at the end of it, Unicorn Cornelius throws up his pickaxe, it falls down, and he licks it, he's like, woohoo, I found a peppermint mine! I mean, I can see why they cut that, but I mean... But like I think it's like the the Fame and Fortune song is a reprise of the Misfits song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just, and that friendship between Rudolph and Hermie cracks me up too, because like, let's be independent together. It's not how that works, Hermie, but
yeah.
But you know what? Why not? Why not?
But that's what I tell people all the time.
I know. And you know what's really funny too is the fact that I think it was maybe 2 years ago or whatever, I started looking at these things, and on my Facebook, I reposted a couple of them. I took them and I made them into like horror novels and horror movies and Stephen King novels.
Oh my gosh!
Like I put up pictures that supported it. I think I did one for the Year Without a Santa Claus based on Misery, you know. And then I did like Silence of the Deer for Rudolph instead of Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my gosh!
That's just me. I'll send it to you guys.
There's a guy.
Or just look on my Facebook because I put it. It came up in the memories. So.
Oh, fun.
There's a guy on TikTok, and he does horror versions of just different pop culture items, Muppets, McDonald's, Looney Tunes, and whatnot. But he's also done the Rankin Bass cartoons, and it's really cool.
I saw one recently where there was a spoof on Predator. Oh my God. There's some sick minds out there, and I'm one of them. But no matter what, I think that these things evoke what we want out of a Christmas feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is nostalgia, which is family gathering, which is experiencing something with your friends, with your family, and acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what the story is, they do accept Rudolph. They do accept this snowman that's come to life. They do accept all these sort of misfitty little characters, right? And I think that that's really what Christmas is about.
It's also just the feeling of like remembering the magic that we had as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, even though it's like, oh, we work and we do all this stuff and we're busy at Christmas time, it's kind of like take a few minutes, you know, believe in Santa, remember that, you know, remember the feelings. And
yeah, because I as an adult want to see these.
Exactly.
Even if I make fun of them now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want to see them. You know, and trust me, I make fun of Rudolph all the time. But
yeah.
I mean, like,
but you still watch it. So.
Yeah, I mean, but I want to see Professor Hinkle get his comeuppance. I want to see, I want to see Karen crying over a puddle of Frosty and Santa coming in. It's like, no, Karen, don't worry. It's Christmas magic. Oh, we can save Frosty. And then he turns into like a snowman again.
Yeah.
And Jackie Vernon, happy birthday. And it's, you want to see that. Although that brings up a question. Since we're talking about Frosty just a minute. Santa drops Karen off on the roof.
Yeah.
How's the bitch gonna get down? He's just like, hey, Karen, well, I'll take you home. First of all, her parents don't even seem concerned that she didn't come home from school. This strange man in a sled drops her off on the roof and with no visible means of getting down, and then just yeets off.
Never thought about that.
Of course we don't think about that, but I do because I'm twisted.
Yeah.
And now there's a whole audience out there listening to this going, yeah. Well, aliens, that's all the time that we have for this episode of Area 51 and a half. Nick, remind our aliens how they can get a hold of us one more time.
They can find us on Threads, Instagram, and TikTok at the Area 51H. Of course, you can search for us on Facebook and YouTube by searching for Area 51 and a half. And don't forget to check out our Patreon page.
This is
Wren, a.k.a. Pyre Lily.
And
Snyderman 501, Nick Snyder.
And Spooky Uncle John wishing you a happy holidays. And thank you for joining us on the landing pad.